50% discount on a shared ride. So if you want to go someplace that originates and ends in the Tri-Valley on Uber or Lyft, use the Go Tri-Valley code and you will get 50% off that ride if you're using the pool option. Then that's part of Wheels, and it helps to increase Wheels ridership. The other option is that we're looking at an SAV pilot, a shared autonomous vehicle pilot, that will, this was in the works pre-pandemic, to do first and last mile connection to help increase the options to get to BART within the Tri-Valley. We've already done phase one. You might have seen the little toaster looking vehicle that went back and forth between Hacienda and the East Dublin BART. And the second pilot will, if it pans out, the vehicles were delayed, go within from the East Dublin BART to a couple of the office parks right there in the back, Ross and Zeiss. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do that will help get people to BART and help keep Wheels from going under or having real funding challenges while BART is still coming up to speed. And then I'm going to defer to Melissa on Valley Link because she is the expert in the room on Valley Link right now.
Thank you, everyone. And with regards to Go Tri-Valley, if you go to our Wheels website, it will actually have a Go Tri-Valley, a little icon, and it'll ask you, what is Go Tri-Valley? And then who participates and who provides and all that great information. So there's so much information on our LAFTA website to be able to visit our Go Tri-Valley. But we're always working on that last mile too. We're not just, riding kids to and from school, even though our biggest ridership is our schools, and getting the younger generation to and from, Dublin High School and Wells Middle School and Fallon. And so that's our biggest ridership with regards to Valley Link. You were lapped up. With regards to Valley Link, super exciting. Just so much news. And I will just throw this out right now on Wednesday. We are having a lunch and learn. And I have, our council member, our Valley Arkin, is on our board representing the city of Pleasanton. Mayor John Marchand is on our board representing, the city of Livermore. So we do have some great representatives on Valley Link. But with regards to Valley Link, it is a 42-mile alignment and it's 2 phases. And I think that's really important for folks to understand that it is 2 phases. It's new, it's 7 stations, and it's a mega regional connectivity park. So I'll give you a little history on why Valley Link was even created. I always like to share this because not many people are even aware of why Valley Link was created. So back in 2018, BART was taking our taxpayer money, Measure BB, and saying they were always going to be coming and extending Pleasanton and Dublin BART to Livermore. Well, they decided they don't. Johnson, they lied.
But it was May 25th, but who's keeping track?
Yeah, can you tell he had that date on his calendar? So then Supervisor Scott Haggerty at that time decided, listen, you keep taking our money, you're not going to hold your promise. They came out and said, we are not going to go to Livermore. And so that's where it started. And Supervisor Scott Haggerty knew he had to do something because he wanted to make sure that the taxpayer money from the Tri-Valley was being put to good use. And how would we be able to get folks to from Livermore and beyond? So it started as a project that would go to Livermore. And then he decided in order for us to be able really make an impact on individuals and get them off the freeway at 30,000, cars, it would be to go to San Joaquin Valley, which is great because a lot of our essential workers come from San Joaquin Valley. So not only do they come here in the Tri-Valley, but they're also going sometimes beyond. And so this is just a stopping point. You will notice that there will be a platform in the Dublin and Pleasanton area. And again, the 7 stations, 42 miles, feasibility study has already been done. In 2021, we did the CEQA environmental. And then in 2024, we are doing, I know it's a year advanced, but we started doing our NEPA. And that is really important for us to be able to get funding. And we're hoping that's already in progress. And we're hoping that it will be complete and we'll, be able to get some of that funding pretty soon. We have some great news that I will have to hold on until Wednesday because our board members don't know yet. I just found out today. But some of the highlights of Valley Link, are the Valley Link Rail Project. It's a transformative zero emissions mega regional mobility investments into the state's passenger rail system to connect over 100,000 Bay Area workers community daily from their affordable homes in northern San Joaquin Valley to a higher paying jobs in the Bay Area. Valley Link also brings new transit riders to existing Bay Area transit systems such as BART and Caltrain, and removes thousands of single occupancy vehicles from the high congested and freight I-80 corridor. Most of these commuters work in construction, manufacturing, healthcare, and other service sector industries where remote work was limited or not an option during the pandemic. So while transit ridership in the Bay Area continues to recover, traffic congestion on I-80 over the Altamont Pass quickly rebounded, and it added so much traffic. And as you know, if you get on 680 right now, and if you get on past 8:30 in the morning, you are stuck in traffic already. And I know that we're trying to do the smart lanes there, so that'll take a few years before they're done. But the Transit Intercity Rail Capital Program, we just got awarded we just were approved for $25 million. We did ask for 40, but we got 25 million, but we will take anything that we could possibly get. So that is a huge achievement. And I do want to thank Rebecca Bacayan. She has been a huge advocate for Valley Link. And she also had given us, even if it was just beggars can't be choosers, and she gave us $5 million just to start some of the process that we needed to do. So she's been a huge advocate, and we adore that she has been fighting not only in Sacramento, but has willing to listen to all the PowerPoint presentations that we bring forward. But we really do look forward. I mean, I can go on and on about Valley Link. So 2023 State Rail Plan. The State Rail Plan is California's strategic funding and programming document for passengers and freight rail projects. While not financially constrained, the plans identified specific rail service goals by geographic location, quarters, and delivery time. It is significant in setting priorities, statewide investment, and single state priorities to the federal funding partners. And it's really important that we communicate with rail, because we are working very closely with the railroads to be able to also accomplish this, because we will be using some of their area. So this is a project that we hope that, and just also to add, I know I'm running out of time. I'm using my free time as well. But we will be building a hydrogen plant in Tracy. So Tracy, the city of Tracy, where they're also partnering with us, is they donated acreage of land for us to be able to build a plant there. And how that will work is we will also be able to provide green, clean hydrogen. That's what we're working on. But we would also, in order for us to get some other types of revenue, we would also be selling it as well to others. So I really feel that in the future, it'll be electric cars and hydrogen cars, and those will be your two main. And so making sure that Valley Link moves forward is not only a necessity, but we will make sure we get there. And I know that our board is very strong to be able to push that forward. And again, you'll have some better news on Wednesday at the Lunch and Learn. And we will be talking about not only our hydrogen plan, we'll talk about all the different 7 stops and what the potential growth will be there. Livermore will gain so much from this as well. But we are determined to be able to accomplish this and put a shovel in the ground probably in early 2025.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great information. Thank you so much.
Good work.
Yeah, since I'm out of order, number 6. Number six, Mary Perner will read number 6. Okay. Here you go, Mary.
Given the requirements of AB 481, what do you take into consideration when weighing the expenses of additional munitions for your police force versus the other needs of your city?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, with AB 481, we have to approve all of our militarized equipment in our city, and we have done that, I believe, twice now we've done that. And what do we take into consideration? Well, how I look at it is we have our police department and our police officers have to have the equipment necessary to keep our communities safe. That's a given. Public safety is a very high priority in our community and should be for every community. At the same time, we have to look at, you know, the civil rights of our constituents, what is going to keep our officers safe, as well as our community safe. So I think when we looked at this the last time, we kind of evaluated all of the equipment. Some of the things that were new items were ones that were replacing old items. So they weren't actually additional. They were replacing them with newer technology, items that would be actually safer for our officers and our public. So that was one thing we kind of looked at. We also approved some a command vehicle, like a mobile command vehicle, which we don't have yet. That's currently being constructed, and I think we're going to get that next year, so that our police can have a mobile unit outside of where our police department is, like in the event of a natural disaster or something like that. We also approved a kind of like what I call a CSI vehicle that is kind of a crime scene type of vehicle that we don't currently have. And our officers were really in need of that because they were using just, you know, just like one of their SUVs right now. I'm trying to work out the back of that, and that wasn't working. So those are some of the things we approved, and that will be on our agenda as law dictates. And we will continue to look at keeping our community safe, keeping our officers safe, at the same time doing what is right for our community. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Julie Testa.
I misplaced my card.
Did you misplace one? Should I?
Would you trust me to tell you that I got 3 free minutes of?
Yes. 3 free minutes.
3 free minutes. My topic, whatever I want. So we've already hit some of the better topics, but I want to. We've heard a lot about transportation and how the traffic is coming back. In fact, while remote working has kept some people home, there are fewer cars commuting, but because of the concerns about public transportation, our highways are absolutely at that peak capacity, because those who would have taken public transportation are in a car and on those freeways. So just a little fun factoid that I wanted to share on that is that the one piece of public transportation that we're seeing grow and that we're pretty excited about is that the tech buses, they're private buses, they park at the fairgrounds, and those have come back with a great amount of appreciation, a high level of usage. So I was just asking about it and learned that our tech buses right now, what they do is they count how many cars are parked there from people who have then got on the bus. And so we can count those cars and know that there are that many cars that are not on the freeway. And right now it's averaging about 800 cars a day are taking the tech buses, private buses. Taxpayers aren't paying for this. The tech companies are, and it's taking 800 cars or more a day off the road. So that's my fun factoid. I got 3 minutes, and I think I probably have another minute at least left. So I'm going to jump into the cold water on this one. I know a question will be coming up about housing. Right now, definitely one of the most difficult things that all of our cities are dealing with are our housing mandates from the state. And while Pleasanton did a great job in the 5th cycle, which was the one that just ended, we way overbuilt on our market rate mandates. So we built about 300% of our market rate mandates. And yes, one of our neighbors built way more than that. So I caught that little look. But we still built 300% of our market rate mandate. What I wanted to lead to and stress, our numbers are considerably higher in this next cycle. And I have confidence the market rate housing is doable because it doesn't require government subsidy. We just let the developers go, and they love our Tri-Valley and they want to build. And so they build, and that's achieving market rate is not a difficult thing. The affordable housing is, and it isn't not wanting to build. It is for Pleasanton alone. You can't build, subsidize, or affordable housing. It's not a word. It's a calculation. You cannot, it's not cheaper to build. And so subsidy and significant subsidy is required. And the state isn't providing that. For Pleasanton, our subsidized housing number is between 2,500 to 3,000 units. In subsidy dollars, that's going to be between $2 and $3 billion to achieve. It isn't not wanting to build it. We did better than our neighbors in our lowest of low affordable housing in the fifth cycle. Without subsidy, the state isn't giving money to make it possible. And everyone needs to understand all the pieces that go into that. So I know there is a genuine desire to, and affordable housing isn't the same thing as affordability. I think the real crisis is affordability. We definitely need affordable housing, and that really got when the state stopped funding affordable housing with redevelopment money in 2011. You look at the graph and it's pretty clear that that's where the availability of affordable housing really shifted. We need to work on that. But without billions of dollars, and to put it in perspective, the state in our historic budget surplus last year, they allocated $500 million to the entire state for affordable housing. Pleasanton needs between 2 and 3 billion, just us. It's going to be tough, but it isn't not wanting to provide for all levels of housing and our residents. I mean, all of us have kids who we want to be able to afford to buy a house. We want affordability. We need to find creative ways of achieving that. And the state has set us up to fail.
Thanks for taking on a difficult housing issue.
I'll come back. Thank you. Love to have an hour on that one.
See the faces here, they want to respond, but we're going to continue on with our format. And at the end, I'm going to let you guys make your last. So next up is John. And John has 2 questions.
13 and 14.
Oh, you're so lucky. Okay. So is there something that you really love about serving? And if so, what is it? And then I'll ask you the second question.
What do I love about serving? What is it I love about being mayor? It's getting stuff done. It's improving the quality of life for the people that live in Livermore. And that's one of the reasons that 92% of the people agree it's a great place, is because we can contribute to the quality of life. In my last term as mayor, we were able to add 57 new pieces of public art that were acquired at no public expense. 57 pieces of public art where people could come together and gather and enrich their lives. As Picasso said, art washes from my soul the dust of everyday life. And I think that contributes to our quality of life. The fact that we were able to add Livermorian Plaza, where the 2 elements that define Livermore, art and science come together in the heart of our downtown. Working with young people, talking with students, and inspiring them to step up to be community leaders. Those are the types of things that I find a great deal of inspiration and a great deal of satisfaction. And I think that's a large part of our job. So there you go.
Thank you. And on the adverse, is there something, John, or should I say Johnny, that drives you crazy?
That was cold.
Is there something
You watch our meetings, don't you?
watch your meetings, and I feel so sorry for you, John. Is there something you really hate? And it doesn't have to be that. Is there something you really hate about?
You know, the thing that is the most frustrating in public elected office that I have found is dealing with people that are willfully ignorant. That resonated. Yeah, one of the most astonishing. Now, I'm a scientist. You know, everything that I've built is built upon empirical evidence. You know, you come to that conclusion. Science teaches you how to behave when you don't know the answer, and you have the scientific method to find that answer. But when you have someone that says, "I don't care what the facts are. I know what I believe," it's just stunning. No. These are facts. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. So I think that's one of the things that's the most frustrating for me, is, as I said, dealing with people that are willfully ignorant. So there you go.
Thanks, John. Now, I wasn't giving you a hard time. I just felt sorry.
But you know,
I know that, and I feel so bad for you. I'm gonna slap that guy silly. We won't go there.
oh yeah, yes.
Oh,
He's an alcoholic.
That's, oh gosh.
He's a drunk driver.
Oh, yeah, don't break. Okay,
I have question number 2.
question number 2, and Mary is gonna read question number. All right.
The state of California requires each police department to account for its military equipment and how this equipment was used.
One.
We had this one already. It was similar, but it was the same, pretty much the same question.
And like you want to get voted. This, start over. The state of California requires each police department to account for its military equipment and how this equipment was used, as well as requests for more equipment. The city controls the budget for the people. How do you evaluate which requests are reasonable and which are not?
Well, in Dublin, we contract with Alameda County, and so we actually don't approve the militarized equipment per se. So I'm gonna just say that in Dublin, our police budget is 24% of our total budget. And that includes the equipment through their contract. The only equipment that we buy in Dublin directly is police vehicles, and that is included in that 24% item. And so now I'm going to pivot and choose my own questions. And I'm going to talk about housing a little bit because we really haven't had the housing questions by luck of the draw of the cards. And so I'm going to just talk a little bit about the affordability piece that you were mentioning and the subsidies that we were talking about. We have, as we all know, in Dublin, hit our market rate targets several times over in each RETA cycle. And we haven't done enough on the below market rate units. In our 5th RETA cycle, we haven't got credit for these things, but in our 6th RETA cycle, we will, because we have approved recently several very large affordable housing projects. We have approved a 300 unit affordable housing, completely affordable housing project at the West Level BART. We've approved a 100 unit affordable housing senior project on Regional Street. We have 2 other projects that are in the pipeline. They haven't been entitled yet, but at East Ranch, which is in the far east side, Dublin as the name. It's now being called Francis Ranch. It has a 77 unit project on it that is still being talked about. That isn't a completely done deal yet. But in addition to other things, 77 unit project plus for sale units as part of the project plus in lieu fees. There is the SCS development that also has a affordable component on it, and that's what I really want to spend my time on, because Councilmember Testa is right. There is a difference between affordable housing and affordability. And in the entire region, we need to be doing more on affordability, and it needs to be an entire package. And the subsidies, though, doesn't have to come out of every city's general fund. The subsidies that are being used to fund affordability are very often coming from market rate housing. And so you don't get one without the other. You don't get the in lieu fees without building market rate housing, and you don't get the sometimes the developer himself builds the affordable housing project. But we also need to do a better job in the Tri-Valley of providing variety of product type. We have done great in Dublin with single family homes, very large single family homes in many cases, and townhouses. But we haven't built very much for the senior that wants to downsize. We have a population in Dublin that are all similar ages, and we're all gonna be looking to move from a 2-story house to a 1-story house all at the same time when our needs start to give out, right? That's why we've seen a peak in student population. We are just about to hit our peak in student population, and we will be facing declining enrollment like some of our neighboring cities have. And all of those parents are going to realize that their 20-somethings aren't going to want to live with them forever. I know. Mayor Hernandez and I both have 20-something-year-olds that live with us, and while we love them dearly, someday we would like them to be able to afford a place of their own. And we don't have enough of those here in Dublin. We don't have enough 1-story smaller homes that don't need a lot of work. Most of the small single-story homes in Dublin are pretty old. The newer homes are all 2-story. So I would like to see us as a Tri-Valley be doing a better job of that. And we have a project coming up, the SCS project, that we did a huge community outreach on to find out what people wanted to see on that property. We did a preferred vision, and the property owner and developer came in with a project that very closely matched the preferred vision. And it's got something like 80, I don't know the exact number, maybe Mayor Hernandez can chime in, but I think it's about 87 units that I'm very excited about that are for sale, 1 and 2 bedroom, stacked condo townhouse kind of jigsaw puzzle things that have garages that are for sale. So my first home that I bought was very similar to that. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse with a garage that was by DC standards at the time affordable. It was not deed restricted, but it was affordable. So to your point, affordability, not affordable housing. It was a great starter place. So that way to build a little equity without being deed restricted. So when housing prices went up, I was able to sell, have a little bit of down payment for my next house. We don't have very much of that here in the Tri-Valley. So I'm really excited about those places. It also has quite a quantity of deed restricted ADUs that are detached ADUs with their own parking place. Those will actually get rented. In-home attached ADUs don't get rented because people use them for the in-law suite, or like Mayor Hernandez and I would love to have for our sons that live with us to have their own, but we wouldn't be renting them. I mean, I charge my son rent. I don't know what she does, but I charge mine rent, but it wouldn't be a true new unit for another family. But detached ADUs with their own off-street parking, that's a game changer. That's true affordability and new housing. Those kinds of things are the kinds of things that I would like to see us be doing more of. And I'm excited about us pushing developers to include things like that in their projects. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I think my time's probably up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And
I have number 8, but I wanted just to add, I know it's hard when you give us the mic and then all of a sudden we have so much more to add with regards to the board housing. So yeah, I just wanted to add with regards to this SCS development project, and I know it's been a work in progress since before I even got on the council. That tells you anything. And I got on the council in 2016. So we're finally seeing some progress on this. One thing that Councilmember Josie missed was also the pop shops,
Yes.
health shops. It's having a shop downstairs and your house upstairs, which is kind of cool because if you want to work at home, you have the ability to go downstairs. Realtor, maybe a small little tiny coffee shop. Every person wants to live the American dream and have their own business. And you can be an entrepreneur by just going downstairs, unlocking the door, and having that right underneath. And you can also rent it out as well. But I just wanted to add with regards to all affordable housing is not created equal. And I learned that and all housing is not created, all units are not created equal. As my city manager, Chris Foss, when I first came into the council, I wanted to add the fact that making your developers also build is important. It is faster and quicker for them to build more affordable housing than it is for us. But we do it in different ways, and every city is different. And the way we've done it in Dublin, we've done it multiple ways. One, we have them build, but we also take the in lieu fees. And the reason everybody says, why do you take the in lieu fees? The reason we take the in lieu fees is because we can shore those away until we have enough money to turn around, negotiate with the developer, turn around, get us some acreage, and then we can build more units on it. And I'm not sure if you all remember Measure A. Measure A was Wilma Chan's measure in Alameda County. And it also helps for units as well for anything over 100 units. And that gained a lot of money to be able to give to cities. How cities spent it, I'm not sure. I don't know what cities did, but I know in Dublin, we put it towards our affordable housing. And I think that's really important because it gives us the ability to build more units on a 2-acre lot. And that's how you're going to, that's just a step on being able to build more affordable housing. So when Measure A extension comes forward, please have your voters vote for it because it's extremely important for us to keep getting that funding that we're not getting from the state, but then we're working together with Alameda County to be able to have them give us that funding for each city. And I know on Friday, Livermore just did a grand opening and with some of the Measure A funding as well. But I wanted to explain really quick that there's different percentages on the primary causes of homeless. 27% is a dispute with family, friends, and roommates. 25% is eviction, foreclosure. 22% is job loss. And then 13 is other money issues, 13% substance use, 11% is family domestic violence. And so I'm going to give Jackie a website that she could share with the rest of the group to be able to see, what is going on in Alameda County with regards to the households and why people are also becoming homeless. But I will get to my question right now.
Well done.
Who has question number 8?
Number 8. Oh, what's Christ? Number 8, housing is a major issue as a Bay Area.
Already answered.
Homelessness, affordable housing, infrastructure to support new housing, newbie attitudes, state mandates versus city reality. What do you see as the city's issues and role in dealing with housing?
I think honestly with the city and I sometimes feel that that's an unfair question for Dublin because we have been doing our part for many years. But working together and like I said, working together with the developer, working together with making sure that your general plan is followed through and making sure that we accomplish that housing with regards to we're almost a build out. And so what we try to do is negotiate with those developers as much as we can to be able to get those monies to be short away so that we can look at other projects. But bringing in different types of affordable housing, I know that we're talking about, having housing for seniors. And I think that's huge because 40% of our homeless are 55. Those are considered seniors. And so how can we help them be able to get into a house? But I will tell you that supporting all different types of housing, Goodness Village is a perfect example. It's not my city, but I love Goodness Village. And so it all started with the $3 million, $3 million grant from Supervisor Scott Haggerty. And then it actually started with $1 million first. He always says, I don't know how it got to $3 million, but it started with $1 million. And I was actually with him at that time when we started that project. And I know that so many elected officials like Senator Glacier actually us introducing him to Goodness Village, they just gave him $5 million. So I know that it's all about looking at different types of housing and being able to help those cities, being able to help those partners. And I'm excited because with those $5 million, they will be able to bring a city where they want to see a vision of being able to bring 10 to 20 more units there as well. But us all coming together is really good. But negotiate with your developers.
Thank you so much.
I have number 10, so whatever
Number
that
10.
is.
So number 10, transportation is a concern of many Tri-Valley residents. Some want better freeways, others more and better public transit, others more local jobs, and no one knows where the funding will come from for any of this. What approach is your city taking?
Okay, I think we kind of talked about this. A lot of these questions overlap, I think. So, let's see, I have some information on regional. Traffic definitely is a regional issue, but we've already talked about BART. We have an Ace train station in Pleasanton. Ridership on both of those has decreased. We'll see what happens with that. We have our Wheels bus, which we already talked about that. We have bus service for our seniors. The tech buses, as Councilmember Testa already talked about, Valley Link, which Mayor Hernandez talked about. Top regional priorities, I think, have been talking with our traffic engineer, the state route 84, which I believe that's in the final phase, and that's really going to be a very big benefit. So that has been one big priority. The other one has been the other one recently is the Highway 680 express lane expansion from San Ramon to Sunol, which we were just at the groundbreaking, not ribbon cutting because it hasn't been done yet. Groundbreaking, which I believe it's going to be done in 2025, if I'm not mistaken. So those are kind of some of the things regionally that we're all involved in. And like we've mentioned before, we have some regional committees, liaison committees, things like that, that we address these kinds of issues. The other thing locally that we do, one of our big projects that we're in the midst of is building the Costco in Pleasanton. And we've used, I think, Measure BD funds and all to expand the lanes there. There'll be an extra lane on Johnson Drive. I believe an expansion on Stone Ridge and Johnson, and an extra lane to get onto North 680. So that's one of the big things. You can see it in action right now. It's all going on. That's one of the big local things we've been doing right now. So I'll end it there. That's pretty much.
And since we
what's on my
kind of
horizon.
duplication, is there anything else that you would like to share since I
Oh gosh.
kind of duplicated the question there for you?
Okay, well, it's gonna talk about the housing, but maybe I should do that because
Maybe.
we're.
Well, it's up to you.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll weigh in on that one too. So I think, we're waiting for approval on our housing element, which all cities have had to do. I think one of the things that I think we can all agree here that, affordability, affordable housing is a priority and we need to address it. Absolutely, no question. I think what has come into play that makes it really difficult are the state mandates from the state. With the RENA numbers, the actual number of units we have to build and have to zone for, I should say, with no money, as has been stated, for infrastructure. And as a former school board member, the school impacts are one of the greatest things to me that I worry about. So yes, Pleasanton has been experiencing a very slight decline in enrollment, but with over 6,000 units that we zone for, I imagine at some point in time, we are going to see a resurgence of school enrollment, the school projections. So the infrastructure issues with water as well, with traffic, as we all know, could become a lot worse. I think the mandates are a really big problem. We're not getting funding for that. And that's what we need to solve the issues that'll come along with adding more housing. The other thing, I think one of the mandates that I really don't agree with is the no parking requirements. And we have a project in our downtown that will go up that is a 5-story, 46-unit affordable housing development, but it's right in a small neighborhood of all 1-story homes, and it's a 5-story building. I don't disagree that the affordable housing is a great thing to provide to our residents, but it has to make sense with our city. And being in our downtown in a 1-story neighborhood with no parking, 46 units of no parking. And our public library is right near there. That parking lot, which is quite full when the library is open very often, that is really going to be impacted. So I think there are things that we really should be looking at that are real solutions. I think we really could do it, but we just need to concentrate on that. And unfortunately, the state legislature is not feeling the same way. And it's going to be a challenge for all cities. So I'll just How do we do some homework?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Julie,
No,
what question did you get?
I didn't take this. Did it get?
I set it on your chair.
Okay, well, then this is.
I gave it, okay. And it was the last one, so it wasn't like I picked it for you. It was the last one.
It's okay.
Okay, so this is, I think this came from Ellis. Do you want to read your question, Ellis, number 11, HR 5376?
Oh.
No, that didn't come.
No, okay, then I'm not sure who it came from. HR
Answer that.
5376 was originally introduced as the Build Back Better Act. President Biden's signature legislative proposal in 2021. But after the bill failed to gain enough support in the Senate to pass, it was replaced in whole with new legislative text in 2022 and named the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Has your city been allocated any of these funds, and what is the status?
You know, I'll take a shot at that, but we've had no discussion about it because we don't, well, that's what I was going to ask, if our neighboring cities have had any funding, because we have not. So really cannot respond to that. We're hoping that we will hear sometime soon. You, Livermore, also not.
So what it is, it's actually tax credits. So no money has gone out yet, but it's actually going to be really more infrastructure tax credits is how it's framed.
Okay, so stay tuned.
Are there ties or strings attached to that?
Of course. I just haven't figured out what
Is
it's
there-
yet.
So,
They're still working on how, it's always amazing to me how difficult.
Wanna
the
come up
government
here,
is
sister.
giving out money. So it's not easy. But
All
they
right.
are setting up the requirements now.
A little additional.
Okay, yeah, I did find out we have not received any of that funding. But our city is going to look at that as a possible funding source. And we will use it for the efforts around climate action, solar projects, greenhouse gas emission reductions, and also addressing our water infrastructure needs. So those are some of the things. If and when we do get that funding, what we will.
And really, that's what I was going to default to. We haven't. What's that?
The details came out today.
You just said the details came out today.
That came out
From the
today.
federal government?
All right, well then stay tuned. We'll have information soon. Pleasanton has a significant water issue. Everyone had the drought, just crippling drought, and now we've had the wettest winter in recorded history, which has been wonderful. I've loved every drop. But we're not going to be out of the water crisis for a while because we have PFAS, but not just us, really across the nation. PFAS has been something that had cities, states, water municipalities have been made aware of over just the most recent years. And Pleasanton has 3 of our own wells that we have always enjoyed the benefit of that source of water. The majority of our water comes from Zone 7. They have PFAS in their wells. And so there will continue to be a water supply problem as we work hard to find how to address the toxins that PFAS have caused in our water. PFAS is a man-made chemical. There should be none in any water source. It has been a series of products that were developed primarily by DuPont. And it has come into our environment in so very many ways. And it's known to be a carcinogenic toxin. And while the amounts are fairly small, no level is in our water supply. So our healthy, safe water is truly our council's top priority. It's another unfunded project that's going to be incredibly expensive. We're looking at different options. We'll be talking about it tomorrow night at our city council meeting. So, just, that's my, I think, all of our cities are dealing with it to some level, right? Or no?
We buy our water from zone 7,
Oh, so you have PFAS too?
not in surface water.
Not in the
It's
surface water. That's
It's not
true.
all of, I think only one of their wells has been detected with PFAS.
12, and no, I think there's more than one, but, yes, definitely Pleasanton. We've shut down the 3 wells that have been, concerning. They're actually at a level that legally we didn't have to shut them down, but we decided to shut them down out of, just being, cautious and until we understood more what our options were. So again, tomorrow night, we will have a lot of discussion.
Never hurts to be careful.
Thank you. Okay, as we're wrapping up, some of the questions, I'm just going to ask the same question of all of you. And as our last question, and that is, what didn't we ask? What should we know? I just answered that.
Okay, so the question was, what was not asked that people should know? So the people elect city councils to do the work that needs to be done to keep the community a great place to live. We just completed a poll that asked a question: what is it that keeps you from attending council meetings and planning sessions, all of the other things where we really want public input? And almost 40% of the people said that they had no interest. So, but then they complain when you don't listen to me. One of my favorites was the whole Barton to Livermore, and all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know about that. We had 20 meetings on Barton to Livermore. We had 17 meetings on the downtown plan. And people were saying, well, I didn't know about that. Well, because most people don't care. The city council is elected because most people don't want to spend the hours of study to go over the housing element that we heard about tonight, to listen to the study the traffic patterns. We're working on Tactical East Avenue right now, and people are shocked, like, well, what happened? And I go back to there's basically 3 types of people. There are people that make it happen, those that let it happen, and those that stand on the sidelines and say what happened. So the councils are elected to do the job that most people don't want to be bothered with. The whole thing about water infrastructure. That's really beyond our scope. We buy most of our water. And yet the state, when the state created the State Water Project, they sold 4.2 million acre feet in supply. And in the long term now, they can supply 1.7 million acre feet. Do you see a problem there? They sold contracts for 4.2 million. They can supply 1.7. We have waited for 30 years for Sites Reservoir to be built. And it's probably going to take another 10 years. So when the mayor, when the governor comes out and says he wants to build 3.5 million new housing units, where's the water coming from? When our power grid, we were down in August of 2020, we had a transformer blowout. It was hit by lightning, and Livermore did not have PG&E could not supply enough power to Livermore, so we had blackouts. We just had the governor come out and say, don't everybody plug in your electric automobiles at the same time because the grid can't handle it. And yet we're continuing to move along in this process. So we're dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and a lot of the folks are content to leave those problems to the city council but then don't complain when the city council makes decisions on your behalf, because we reached out to you to get your input. And we're not getting that. So we have to make these decisions. So remember, you elected the city council to make the best decisions on your behalf. And if we don't hear from you, we will continue to make the best decisions that we can based on the information that we have to make those decisions to keep our communities a great place to live. Thank you. And thank you for your host, Ms. Merriman.
Thank you, John. You can hand that over to Jean in the same question.
And the question was, anything else we want you to know, right? What you didn't ask us about.
What did I not ask? And what's important that we should know?
Okay. We didn't talk about economic development at all tonight yet. We've talked a lot about traffic and infrastructure and housing and things like that. We haven't talked about economic development, and economic development is important to us here in Dublin. We have certainly we built a lot of housing, and we know that our traffic is oversubscribed. We want our transit to come back. We want people to get on BART. We want people to get off the highway. We're doing a lot about bike and pedestrian infrastructure so that people don't have to drive everywhere they go. But we also want people to work here in the Tri-Valley and not drive to Sunnyvale and not drive to San Jose and all of that. And so some of the things that we're doing about economic development, we have not talked about the Dublin Boulevard expansion that we are working regionally. We talked a lot tonight about regional cooperation and partnering with our other Tri-Valley cities and the entire region. The Dublin Boulevard extension will go from the end, what's currently the end of Dublin Boulevard in Dublin to
North
Canyon Parkway in Livermore. That is important for several reasons. One, it will connect the two cities in another emergency route off of 580 in case there's a huge accident that shuts down 580. So it's a route of regional significance, but also it allows us to continue to develop east of Fallon Road and south of the Dublin Boulevard extension, an economic development zone that is very important to Dublin for high-tech jobs to stay in this area, biotech and light manufacturing and all the types of jobs people want here in Dublin, so they don't have to get on the highway and go to Silicon Valley. Those people that are going to be back in the office, companies are, the pendulum swinging back the other way, and companies want people back in the office at least a couple of days a week. So we want people to be able to work here. We want people that are going to ride the Valley Link in from San Joaquin County to get off in Dublin and not get on to Barton and go into Silicon Valley. We want them to stay here and work here. And so we're working very hard on making that happen. And for those of you who are interested in bike and master infrastructure, that will have protected bike lanes all the way along the route. So you'll be able to ride your bike between Livermore and Dublin without having to cross up and down over 580. So we're very excited about that. And we're also working very hard, thank you, on the Dublin downtown, which is a very long range project, right? But we have done a lot of work in the time that both Mayor Hernandez and I have been on council in putting the underpinnings in place, a new street grid, making smaller blocks, changing the floor area ratio, helping the owners of one of our large shopping centers there consolidate so that it's just a single owner, designing what a town square park in downtown Dublin will look like so that we can get a dining district and a economic development district there in downtown, truly downtown Dublin. So if you want to see what it'll look like, there is a website that says for Downtown Vision. I encourage everybody to look at that. Something that I know is near and dear to Mayor Hernandez's heart as well as mine, and really pushing very hard to make sure that that comes to fruition in the way that we've envisioned it. So to your point, Mayor, about quality of life for our residents, that's the whole reason any of us did this, is to improve the quality of life for our residents, make our cities safer, make our cities more fun, better options for recreation, whether it's bicycle infrastructure, whether it's better parks. We've certainly opened a lot of parks in Dublin in the time that I've been on council. Whether it's amenities to fit a changing demographic in the Tri-Valley, whether it's better jobs closer to home, whether it's faster travel on our roads. That's why we're here. And I think that all of the Tri-Valley cities have been doing a good job on that. But trying to lure companies out of Silicon Valley where their workers live so that people don't have to drive, that they can work closer to home, improves everybody's quality of life. So we're doing a lot in that state here in Tri-Valley.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and I will just hit a couple highlights on with regards to our economic development. It's important not only in our city, but it's important in all of our cities, because trying to get those new businesses to come in, is extremely important. You know, most cities depend on, sales tax revenue for the, taxes. And so for us and TOD, so for us to make sure that we are able to, bring those great businesses into our cities is huge for us. And I know that Dublin's a little unique in the fact that, you know, we don't have geographic land as our neighboring cities do. And so we have to be able to try to use every single little inch that we have in our city and what's the best use of it and for it. And part of our economic development plan that will be going towards Livermore would be an industrial, because we don't have a lot of industrial here in the city of Dublin. And of course, yes, the downtown Dublin is one of my favorite topics. The prior councils, before I even got on, approved this, and it was time for us to be able to give something back to our community they've been asking for many years. Being able to bring in the original mom and papa shops, and for us as a city of Dublin to be able to help them achieve those golden dreams is really important to me. And I believe also the rest of the council, because it is about living that American dream. It is about, I want to be able to, you know, produce and give back to society in different types of ways. One of the part of economic development is the market Dublin Place that we created. It's a market online, and it's a win-win not only for our residents but also for our shops. So we have about 40 plus local shops that you go in there and shop, and you use a little app. You're able to get discounts on there. And then they turn around the businesses, don't miss out on that money. They get Dublin, the residents get Dublin dollars, but then we are able to fund some of the businesses back for what they gave the customer. So they gave them a $10 coupon, and we turn around and give that $10 cash back to the city or back to the business, so they're not able and they're not losing that funding. And so we're also trying to help them out. So something that we thought was really important is to try to keep our small businesses alive, especially during COVID. And so I know that many cities use their money in different ways, and I think we all came together by trying to give our local businesses, you know, those extra funds to be able to help them survive. I know sometimes it wasn't a lot of money, but it was a lot of money to them, just to even be able to assist, whether it was rent or trying to make it to the next month. And one last thing is, our great parks here in our city of Dublin. And you all remember our Vice Mayor, Don Bill. I see many heads nodding, and he was an amazing person, and he gave 40 years of his life to government in different ways. He was in the military, he was in the army, he was on our school board, he was on our planning commission, he was also a council member, vice mayor when he passed away. So we were delighted to be able to open our 30-acre park here in the city of Dublin. And I always like to say it was in the heart of Dublin, because it wasn't in the division of East or West, it was in the heart of Dublin. And it's great to be able to have our first local community garden in there, and be able to see so many kids play at that playground, and so many family members come together every weekend or even on the weekdays to be able to achieve having a backyard. And so again, because Dublin is so unique, not every person in our city of Dublin has a backyard. And so therefore, that's why we are the new American backyard. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a front or backyard. All of our wonderful parks are an amenity for all of our residents to be able to, you know, hang out with their family members and again, have some great events. We could go on and on about our cities, but at the end of the day, one of the things that I do love is to be able to be our voice for our residents, to be able to, I know that Johnson, they're saying that a lot of, yes, we are elected, but we're also elected to be their voice as well, to be able to, you know, communicate what they may not understand in order for us to be able to get a project done. So I love our city of Dublin. I love the fact that all the cities in the Tri-Valley work together. Again, not only in Washington, D.C., but also in Sacramento to be able to either support or oppose new laws coming forward. And so it's great that when we get together, we have a higher population to be able to truly be a voice. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay, well, I'll touch a little on the economic development as well in Pleasanton. We have a lot of major employers, as you may or may not already know. I think our biggest is Workday, and I think we have over 5,000 employees there. But Oracle and Kaiser are two big ones, and we are kind of a biotech hub as well, and we have a ribbon cutting coming up real soon. I think next week, I believe, for 10X Genomics, which is a really big project that is right near our mall. So yeah, there's a ribbon cutting coming up soon. So we're proud of a lot of the businesses we are able to attract. One of the other things I would mention is our Stonebridge Mall framework. We zone for over, that's one of the areas we zone for the most housing. Over 1,100 units are zoned there. But the Stonebridge Mall framework, very great public process, and it's still ongoing with what that will end up looking like. Malls have to be re-envisioned because malls today aren't going to look like malls from the 1970s anymore. So we look forward to a really great destination point with that mall area. So it'll still be a mall. We keep hearing, well, the mall's going away. No, it's not going away, but it will look different, and there will be housing incorporated into that area. So that's a process that we're in the middle of, and that's ongoing for a little bit now. We have a lot of other great projects in Pleasanton with parks, a skate park, with renovating our Century House, which is kind of a historic building. Our downtown Lions Wayside Park, we're going to renovate. Cricket pitch, we're doing our sports park. There's a lot of projects we're doing, and we're proud of all of them we're able to do. A lot of bike and pedestrian trails projects, and we're putting a lot of money towards that. So we have a lot of great things coming up in Pleasanton. And one of the other things that our residents really value is our downtown. We have a very quaint, charming downtown, and it's getting harder probably to maintain that. But that is one thing that I heard when campaigning, and I still hear it now, is that's what people want to preserve in our town. So we have work to do on that, but we will continue going forward with trying to preserve that as well. And what Mayor Sean said, his answer was kind of what I was thinking too about, engaged citizenry, right? And kind of the cornerstone of democracy is what they say. And, there's a lot, we have an engaged community in Pleasanton, and we have a lot of, I would say, regulars. They give us a lot of public feedback. One of them is here tonight, which I will point out, and I always appreciate all of the feedback I get from our residents in our town. But there's a lot of residents, like you had mentioned, that we don't hear from at all. And not that I want 20,000 emails in my inbox every single day, but I would love to hear from a lot of people that haven't really gotten involved. And we're here to represent them. That's the job we took on. And I'd like to hear from the residents. And that's one of the, what do I like about the job? That was one question about being a council member. And I think engaging with the citizens and listening and finding out what's important to everyone and making the best decisions to, as we all mentioned, have a really high quality of life in that town. So, thank you. Thanks for listening. Your turn.
Did you guys leave anything for me? Okay. Well, I'm going to just have fun with this then. Pleasanton by the numbers, 47 miles of trails in Pleasanton, 46 parks covering 385 acres, 26,000 trees, 262 places to eat, 600 downtown businesses in our wonderful downtown, 144 community programs. We have the distinction, we were awarded 11th safest city to raise a family in some poll. I can't remember the name of it. 120 traffic lights, 8,073 street lights, 821 potholes fixed. And let's see, 217 miles of roadway maintained by the city. And I'll end with a piece de resistance. We're so proud. Valerie missed the best part. I'm so glad you didn't mention it. You left it for me. Thank you. 6 new pickleball courts. Our community is happy. So thank you for having us. And, this was wonderful to hear feedback from our other cities. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of our speakers coming today and taking the time out. You are all at one point club members, and I appreciate your input, your attendance, your feedback, your support, your guidance, your do that. There's a Brown Act. So I really appreciate, because I am a novice, born and raised here in the Valley. I love this Valley, and thank you all for what you do. So thank you for attending, and the rest of the meeting will be our regular club business. I believe Sharon did bring some snacks, so don't forget to have a snack before you leave. And I think for the next, the next thing on the agenda will be the political director report. Yes, and then I'll turn it over to Alan for the treasurer. Thank you.
I wanted to say one thing before I was second. Alice and I went to the art studio tour. That was excellent, and you should do it more often. We visited all these cities in the art studio. Right, Alice?
Me? Oh,
And don't forget to attend your city council meetings to find out what's going on.
haven't missed one.
I'm going to talk about next year's election. What we do here in the Tri-Valley, what we've had going for years, the Tri-Valley UDC, United Democratic Campaign. That's a PAC, Political Action Committee, real PPC number, and FBC number, a website. And the deal used to be that the PAC would pay for campaign office and a political director, and the club would provide the volunteers. This cycle, it's all merged. Head of the UDC is also the president of the club. And we've had a few meetings. We had one last week, and it seems we've been having them about weekly because we want to get our act in gear
It's on the net.
and taking it over from the previous administration. And what I'm going to ask of members, because this is on Zoom, is to get involved with the UDC. And as you probably remember, I'm the marketing guy. I said to Jackie, what is the purpose of the UDC? Because that's the pitch that we make to people as to why they should get involved, why they should contribute to the campaign, why they should get their friends and neighbors and relatives involved in the campaign. And she said I should work on that. And I looked at our bylaws. Our bylaws have a purpose. And in fact, this is just about the first thing after the name of the club in the bylaws. I think it's the second amendment of whatever you want to call it. And it says that, first of all, we help elect Democrats nationally, statewide, locally. That's one of our major purposes. But the second major purpose, and this is what turns a lot of people on, I believe anyway, is that the purpose of our club, and it turns out the purpose of the UDC, is to empower Democrats that have a political impact on jobs, justice, people, planet, and peace. All of those things. And they also, when we talk about justice and jobs and people, we're talking about democracy. We know democracy is under fire in this country. Although we've turned this area particularly blue, as the case may be, it's certainly not the whole state, and it's certainly not the whole country. What we've been able to do from our campaign headquarters in the Tri-Valley is campaign for candidates in other parts of the state and in fact, throughout this country. And we can have a political impact on those races. In addition, there will be various ballot measures that we're either going to be in favor of or opposed to. And you'll be able to work on that also. So what I encourage our members to do is get a hold of me or Jackie. Our names are at the bottom of all the emails that you've been getting. And come to our next UDC meeting. We've been meeting on Zoom, and see what role you can play in this. We're going to ask all our members to try to enlist their friends, try to recruit their friends to get involved with the UDC. Right now, we're planning some kind of picnic in what was the August, September timeframe.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what's available through Heritage Park in Dublin, and they don't have the calendar that far out. So it's sometime between August and October.
Right. So sometime between August and October, we're going to have an event. It'll be a major fundraiser. We'll ask our elected officials, including assembly members, members of Congress, members of the state Senate, and a whole bunch of other elected officials to be there. Ron has indicated that he'll have his band there. So we'll have a pretty good party. And this will be the major fundraiser for the UDC going into this coming cycle. I should say we're in the coming cycle because the cycles last 2 years. Anyway, that's the political director's report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is the treasurer report. Alan. Sir.
We're just about to mid-year. And we started out last month with $2,897.20. We had an income of $80 for dues. Of that, we had to pay $3.54 in credit card fees, $15.94 for meeting expenses, which gave us a net of $59.52. And our total ending balance is $2,956.72. And the thing that's interesting is we are about $100 ahead of last year. How we did that, I'll never know.
We made money the last picnic. Thank you so much. Good job. We made a little money at our last picnic. And so we just added. We didn't spend very much last year. There is something though I would like to present to the club as an opportunity. I was invited to a party by Cheryl Cook-Callio, who is doing the We the People and raising funds for that organization. I would like to suggest or recommend that our membership donate to that cause, since it is about helping educate people, young people in high school, and not just Democrats, but just getting kids engaged in the civic process. So I would like to recommend or ask the club donate $250 and donate it to the We the People cause.
So moved.
I have a second by Alice, or primary, first by Elvis. Does somebody second it? Second. Mary Perner, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you so much. Next up, bylaws changes. Dr. Ronald Lorenz.
Okay, thank you so much. As the parliamentarian for the club, we have some business to go through in terms of changing our bylaws, which were last revised 18 of May 2020. So we're going to do a little revision here, which basically is related to the California Democratic Party pre-endorsement process. So this is a meeting in which we get to send our representatives and make some recommendations at the state level. Okay, right now we are looking at a revision of Article 7 And this is something that the executive committee endorsed at 3/29/23 meeting, the Zoom meeting of the executive committee, and also at our regular meeting last month on 4/17/23, the membership approved this wording. And so what I'm going to do is read the existing portion, and then in capital letters, I'll say and read the new sections for us. Okay. Section 7, this is about the pre-endorsement process again for the California Democratic Party. Section 7, California Democratic Party, CDP, pre-endorsement process. When submitting a club roster to the chair of the Chartering County Central Committee and or to the cognizant regional director for purposes of the CDP pre-endorsement conference, the roster will contain only members, capital letters, new, who are registered Democrats, old, who are also in good standing, new, and who have paid current year dues or have dues waived due to economic circumstances, still new. The status of voting members will be certified by the president, secretary, or treasurer, and voting members must meet these requisites by the deadline specified by the requesting organization. End of new for a while. Old section. The organization's representatives and alternatives to the pre-endorsement conference will be elected at a general meeting of the organization by a vote of members in good standing, in attendance, and voting. Members receiving the most votes will be the representatives of the organization. Alternatives will be the members receiving fewer votes than required to be representatives, and alternatives will be considered in descending order of the votes they received, so that those who receive the most votes are given priority. New addition, last sentence. The list of representatives to all conferences shall adhere to the equal division rule to the extent possible. So let's take a vote, and I believe a voice vote is appropriate here, as you suggested. All of those who are members, and we'll need 10 members, including those people who are on Zoom who can vote.
And I think we
And
we lost some folks on Zoom, unfortunately.
Right.
But so we do have quorum here. I counted. We're okay.
Okay. Yeah, I counted 8 in terms of the quorum here. All right. So let's have a voice vote. You're a member, and you are also. That's true. And
John
John
Bauer.
and John Bauer. Okay, so that's 10. Okay, we're good. So this will be a standard and valid vote. So all those in favor of the new amended sections being added to the other existing section on Article 7, raise your hand.
I had a question on clerk. We read it. You said alternatives. You meant the alternates?
Yeah. Alternates will be members receiving fewer votes. Sorry. Okay. Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, and this is unanimously of the members here. How about online? Any opposed?
Nothing on mine.
Okay, nothing.
We didn't hear anything from them.
No.
We didn't hear
I didn't hear
anything from some people that don't come to city council meetings. Okay, thank you much.
Okay, thank you. And like Ron said, that was for the pre-endorsement caucus, which is tentatively, I think, sometime in October. So I've heard discussion about people wanting that moved up. So the San Joaquin County chair mentioned that last month, and I've heard that in the Central Committee as well. So we'll see. I don't know exactly what date it's going to be. But our deadline, we did meet, we uploaded 64 members, members in good standing. The new process is they scrub it against the voter registration database. So after uploading it, then you had to go back in and find all of the errors and who had a maiden name and who's different, a junior, whatever, on the voter registration file. So it was a little a little tedious to do last minute. I ended up with 57 matches. We were just 3 shies vote of having 1 additional representative. So it looks like we're going to have about 2 reps that we can send. We'll need to decide who we're going to send from the club by next month's meeting. So start thinking about that. Democrats, members in good standing, some folks who are elected officials, I assume you're already included in that process. So we may want to pick people who are not elected, but, I'm open to that. So start thinking about who you want to send for the pre-endorsement conference.
Jackie,
yes.
you know that?
Yes.
The only votes that will make any difference are the ones that are in ST 20.
Well, I think let's wait and see what happens at the end of the year. I mean, who knows what's going to come out, who's
Well,
gonna,
that-
yes,
that was never the case.
Time is of the essence for endorsements.
absolutely. Come on up. Come on up.
I'm laying got caught.
Yes, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jacob Farmos. I wanted to make an announcement, especially because she just mentioned time is of the essence for endorsements. I'll be on the ballot for United States Senate in March 2024. So if you all would consider that endorsement, I would appreciate that.
And we count on you to come back next month and speak to members. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah, there's definitely, I have a lot more to say on the topic. I just kind of wanted to announce it and let you all know. To definitely put my name into
We got you. on mute.
yeah, sorry, I'll be here next month. And
Thank you.
endorsement, website,
An opportunity to speak to us.
it's a vast plethora of things that come along with a lot of responsibility. And yeah, so the announcement will be much better along with the website. But my name is Jacob Farmos, Farmos, for Jacob,
And he is a
traditional
member.
spelling, and I am a club member.
Thank
And-
you.
And I speak very well when I prepare for it.
We are working towards getting all of the Senate candidates to speak. Tentatively mark your calendars, a special meeting, a morning meeting, July 22nd with Adam Schiff. And we are also working with trying to get
I would love to speak alongside Adam. If that's a definite, like, I'll prepare for that.
Well, I don't know if we'll have time for, he's coming through town. I don't know if we'll have a forum that day, but
Yeah.
you're definitely invited to come and,
Thank you.
but those are some of the things we're coming up. Also, Barbara Lee, trying to get her to speak to membership as well. We don't have a contact for Katie Porter yet, but we're working on that. So as we get closer, we definitely will have an endorsement meeting for anybody who is running here, whether it's for Senate or
Yeah,
if there's
An
council.
endorsement would be very helpful.
Down the road or anything
it's
else.
something I'm not expecting at all, but that would be. The Democratic endorsement is a very valuable.
Make sure to file your stuff with the central.
Oh, I'm taking care of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Regardless of endorsement, I definitely have my own plans. We're good.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll have you back. Give you lots of my listening. Other club business here. The agenda. Other chair reports. Sharon, did you have anything to update at this time? Not this time, anything else? Is there any new business, anyone? There are some events that Igor shared from the Democratic Party. I haven't had a chance to look at them tonight, but I'll send them out to the club membership. I apologize about the problems with the projector and the Zoom today. I appreciate everything the Union Hall does for us. And, next time I'll figure out what my Apple computer did to us tonight. It likes to mess with the Union Hall. So, if there's not any other new business that anybody has, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.